The Swedish band MaidaVale was playing here in Esslingen at the Stitch in Bloom festival. Matilda is the frontwoman of this band, and now we will talk about the Swedish music and the Swedish society. What motivated you to play psychedelic rock, and how you got together to form the band?
We got together at a school in Sweden. We're from different places in Sweden, like small towns, and we all went to it's like a free-form kind of school that's I think specific to the Nordic countries, because it's not like university level, but it's above high school level, and you can go there to study arts and different subjects. So we went to a music kind of school, and we met there, liked playing together, and during the second year we decided to form a band, and then when we left the school we moved to Stockholm together to continue with the band, because we enjoyed playing together. And I think we got into the psychedelic music a bit organically, because we all like different music and different genres, and listen to like a broad spectra of music, and we all like the psychedelic vibes, and so it kind of just happened, and we developed over time. Like we started out a bit different, but we moved into like the psychedelic music a bit. Like it kind of happened, but it was also thought out, of course.
The Scandinavian rock metal bands are known worldwide, from Roxette till Burzum. But how is the Swedish and generally the Nordic rock scene beyond the radio as an artist society? Are the people cooperating, or what's the secret of the Swedish music industry? How is it working? Are there some state-financed institutions, or what is the secret behind the success of the Swedish music industry, which brought during the last decades lots of very successful bands, from ABBA over Tove Lo till Loreen, so even soloists are very successful from Sweden.
I think Sweden as a music country in general, it's a very big like export of music. I think it's comes down to that we've had like good schooling in music, like over time, over decades. We've learned to play music in school, and we've had the opportunity to learn an instrument outside of school, and it was state, like the state paid for parts of it, so you from an early age you could study an instrument. You don't have to have rich parents to learn to play, so everybody got the chance or the opportunity to play, and I think that kind of sets a tone in a society, what's important and who can play and who cannot play. Everybody's like allowed, and it has taught like a lot of musicians and a lot of producers, and it also like travels through generations when you have a system like that. It's not perfect, of course, but it's a good way to get a lot of people interested and the chance to do what they want if they want to play. And when kids get a chance to know music, they can also develop their own style. And I think that's why we have rock bands and very big pop artists. And I don't know why it's so much pop music and producers that get out from Sweden, but I think it's a bit because of that. We also have like state what's it called, when you can apply for money from the state if you're a musician or a band or a record label to play or to have cooperations with other musicians from other countries and to have your project financed and stuff like that. So there's a big like base in the society for culture, and that I don't know why, but the rock scene is very big in the Nordic countries, and it has been for a long time. And I think it kind of comes from the mood in the countries and the weather, and it's very cliche, but it's like dark always, 90, not 90, but like 75% of the year. And it's like a mood in people, and it's had the place, like the rock music that has had a place to grow. There are so many bands in Norway and in Finland and Denmark, Sweden, that it's like a big scene, but it's not commercially big. It's just like, it has a lot of actors and a lot of musicians who play, but there's no place for it. Really, it's my opinion or my feeling. There's not enough venues, there's not enough radio play for rock music. There's not enough like labels and promoters who want to really like do rock music. So I think it's there is a big scene, and it's growing, but it could need some more help. Yeah.
Sweden had a much more liberal COVID policy than most of the other countries for a very long time. How it affected on the Swedish musician? Could you play live concerts in Sweden whilst internationally it was forbidden, or how it went during the COVID restricted years?
Yeah, it was different, but there were restrictions. We couldn't play much live music, so that I think the live music scene was similar, because you couldn't be in big groups and play music. After a while it could be in very small groups to play for a seated audience, and they were separated and so on, but there were not many gigs at all. So I think when it came to the live music scene, it was similar to the rest of the world, but overall it was different because we never had a lockdown, and we were never forced to stay at home, but that came down to like the laws of the country, like they can't make us, and how I understood it is like other countries the governments are able to decrease people's liberties. I don't know if that's how you say it, but they are able to make their citizens stay at home, and the Swedish government is not. And like that's one part of it. The other part was like the government just had another strategy. They thought this way will save most lives, and they just went with it. Even if they got critique from the rest of the world, they got critique from inside of Sweden. There were a lot of people with a lot of opinions, like there were everywhere. But in the end, I think it was a good choice. Of course, a lot of people died everywhere, and it's horrible and sad. But the numbers were a bit better in Sweden. And we still had like isolation. We were at home. We stayed at home because we were recommended to do so, and we followed the recommendations. So it was not maybe not as bad, but it was still as boring as everywhere else, and it was, I think a lot of people were very affected mentally by the lockdowns, and a lot of people lost their loved ones, and so I think we were as affected in a way, but it's always hard to tell in a new situation. You don't know, if you never faced a situation before, you don't know how to really handle it, and I think everybody just did the best they could, really, and it was for the music scene, it was as hard for everyone everywhere. Yeah.
How do you find the current Swedish society?
Interesting. They're also a bit polarized at the moment. But it's also very similar to the rest of Europe, I think. It doesn't stick out in any way. There are the same kind of tendencies in a lot of countries that are very trying not to use the wrong words, but like right-wing populistic ideas that are very like pushed forward and are doing too well. Like they're winning a lot of like ground with their rhetoric, and it's the same. It just I don't know why, but it's a very polarized society in a way. It's getting, I think it's getting harsher, like the climate in the society, and putting groups against each other, just to win, I don't know, an election. And it's very sad to see. And I just think there's a common like theme that is very alarming in European countries, and especially in Sweden. But I also feel like there are very strong like counter actions or measures or ideas. Because there's a lot of people that are fed up with governments and bad policies. So it also, even if there are harsh times and populistic parties gaining a lot of like grounds, that also makes other people stand up for rights and they get active and trying to fight back, and it's the same it's the same everywhere in Sweden as well, I think.
What are your plans for the future? New album, concerts?
We are currently making a new album. We're in the studio, so we plan to finish that this year and release it hopefully early next year. And on the live front, we're gonna play a lot next year, hopefully. And we're gonna be, after this tour, we're not gonna play as much this year, 2023, because we're making the album and finishing the album. And then when it's released, we're gonna play at as many places as we can.